Okay, hi everyone. So we are here for a quick walkthrough of some of the safety things that you need to be taking care of. This is not a comprehensive safety list, but just some of the things we thought you should be aware of when playing with building or repairing an oxygen concentrator. Just remember, with the oxygen concentrator, you're playing with fairly high pressures. I mean, it could be anywhere between 2 bar to 4 bar or 6 bar depending on the system. And it is by no means low pressure. Anything going wrong could result in some dramatic moments. So make sure you have a good grip on what you're doing. Make sure you're not working alone. Make sure there's someone else around you in case something goes wrong. And generally just use a lot of common sense when working with these high pressure and high, let's say, electrical systems, because there's also a lot of 230 volts over here. There's a compressor and other parts, so don't take it lightly.
First thing first, make sure, because the pipes that you're using and the pneumatic connectors that you're using are all rated for a higher pressure than you'll be actually using them for. So what we're using over here, you can see this on there, it's a 10 bar pressure rated pneumatic pipe. However, we're only playing with about 2 to 3 bar maximum, but still it's always nice to have a good safety factor in place so that these don't burst.
Remember, the compressor that we have can put out a lot more pressure. So the compressors put out anywhere between 6 to 8 bar, and that pressure goes directly to the cooling coils and the moisture separator before it enters the high pressure regulator. So until the input of the high pressure regulator, you're still working with the high pressures that are being developed by your compressor system, which could be much more than 2 or 3 bars. So be careful of those sections of the machine in particular.
With all your connectors that you're using, so it says 10 over there, so this is also a 10 bar pneumatic connector. Another thing which is really essential to use is something like this, which is called a pressure release valve.
Yep. So this is a nice thing to have in series with the output of the compressor. In case of overpressure, it kind of pops open and releases excess pressure. So this is a nice safety device. It's purely mechanical, so there's no relays or anything to control. If the pressure is higher than you set, it's also settable to a certain extent. You can, like this is the lowest setting, and if I change the lock nut and tighten it up, and if I tighten up the lock nut, it becomes a little bit higher pressure. So most pneumatic suppliers would be able to get you one of these and set it up. I think 10 bar pressure is a good rating for it to release that.
Right. These will help not make any explosions inside your house or your lab.
True.
It's preferable that you do this at a lab, but if you're doing it at home, please be very, very careful.
Be extra careful, especially.
Check for pressure ratings, make sure you have a pressure release valve. PVC pipes. So if you're planning to use PVC pipes to be able to create your sieves and not the aluminum ones, you should do this for both. If you're using PVC pipes or aluminum, what you want to do is that you do a nice pressure test before actually adding the zeolites in.
Be sure of what is known as a schedule rating for these PVC pipes. So we wanting anything that says schedule 80 or better. It's usually, I'll pop this open.
So when you're using PVC pipes, make sure that you're using anything which is above, this is schedule 40.
Yep.
So you want to use schedule 40 and over, right?
Yes, for
so
sure.
40 or schedule 80. Don't use thin ones like these, which is probably schedule 10, which is not strong enough to be able to deal with high pressures.
So both of these are exactly the same parts. They are same coupling, it does the same function, but this is much more prone to failure at high pressures compared to this. So make sure you have
the pressure rating
pressure
check.
ratings. This one again is not a high schedule rating. This is schedule 20 or 10, I guess, not too sure. Whereas this pipe is schedule 40. So please check for that when you're building your sieves and other PVC parts, surge tank and sieves.
Another very good thing to do is that before you actually put your sieves and put them with zeolite and test out your system, you run the system on blank without anything and test out just the pressure to allow and make sure that your system can handle the pressure.
Yep. Ideally, you should do it individually, so you can actually know where the leak or the weak point is. So test one sieve at a time, test the other sieve, test the surge tank, and so on, and work your way through the different check your copper coils for leakages and stuff like that.
Just like when the glass cracks, you know, it starts with a small crack and then slowly grows. Just like that, in case of any leaks in your plastic or in case of any leaks in your system, it will only get bigger. So it's important to stop the leak while it's small.
Yep.
Next, so now we have covered everything when it comes to the high pressure system. Make sure your pipes are rated for the right pressure rating. Make sure you have a pressure release valve in place at the right spot, and your PVC pipes are schedule 40 or above and are nicely tightly sealed. Next up, the zeolite. Now this stuff that you're going to be using inside your system is
the zeolite basically is inert in the sense that it doesn't really cause you harm, but the dust that is contained within every zeolite packaging that you get is pretty carcinogenic. Basically, any dust that gets into your lungs can cause you trouble either now or in the long run. So whether it's asbestos dust or zeolite dust or even talcum dust or anything that goes into your lungs is not safe. So when handling zeolite, make sure you have your face well covered. Make sure you use mask. If possible, use a double mask. Make sure you're doing it in a ventilated room. Use latex gloves when handling zeolite because it is pretty hygroscopic in the sense it absorbs a lot of moisture in addition to just nitrogen. So once you handle it directly with your hands, it is likely that you might get some kind of burning sensation in your hands as it absorbs all the moisture from your hand while the beads are over here. So
and it does get pretty hot, especially when it's fresh out of the box because it's not absorbed anything yet.
Yeah, it starts getting into that reaction pretty quickly. So again, try to use the zeolite inside a air conditioned or a fairly low temperature area with
less humidity.
With low humidity. Humidity is the killer over here.
Okay, next, the compressor. So these guys that you see over here are very powerful.
Yep.
And
so the one you see here is 1 horsepower or 750 watts. There are others which can be bigger. There's one lying there in the corner over there which is about 2 horsepower. That's kind of even more powerful. And when the compressor compresses air, as with any other gas, it becomes pretty hot. So anything that is coming out of the compressor, no matter what its size, is going to be quite at a high temperature. I think we've measured anywhere beyond about 70-75 degrees.
Yep.
Coming out of the compressor. And the problem is it's liable to soften your tubes. Even if they are rated for 10 bar, it's the temperature that might kill these tubes. So in those cases, it's probably better to use metal braided pneumatic tubing that goes at the output of the compressor.
You can also use metal braided tubes if you like, right outside the compressor before it gets cooled using the cooling coils.
Also make sure your compressor has sufficient ventilation. So it is recommended to use some amount of forced air cooling. You can kind of design which way you want the airflow to be, but in our case we are kind of pushing air down, and we're going to have additional fans here which will suck and have a cross ventilation across the whole base where the compressors are. So make sure that's taken care of in terms of the high temperature air that's coming out of the compressor.
Yes. So in short, make sure your compressors are well cooled and they don't burst your pipes. Kill switch. It's a great idea to have a kill switch right next to you. So what we've done is we put the extension board right next to us. I'll just show you one thing. So what we've done is that we've kept a board right next to us with a turn on and turn off button, as simple as that. So just in case that there is too much pressure in your system and anything happens, your electronics has failed, your valves are not opening, whatever, you have a button that you can just turn off.
So ideally this would be an emergency switch, something that's known as a mushroom switch with a red head that you can punch down on. Being where we are in Goa with all the lockdown, we just can't get our hands on that. So this is the best we could do, but ideally a machine should have an emergency shut off, which is just slam a button and everything goes off.
Mark it red. And last but not the least, very very important to always wear safety goggles inside your lab or inside your home when working on something like this. It's super important. We cannot stress enough. In case there is a pipe explosion or anything falls loose, it can easily come and hit you. So protecting your eyes is very very important. And having a fire extinguisher handy is also super important because you're playing with 230 volts of electricity that's coming in and powering up your compressor and the relays. So it's important to have a fire extinguisher within an arm's length. So in case there is a fire, you're easily able to take it and turn it off.
Yeah, also because we're working at high oxygen concentration, so we don't want any mishaps, especially if you have a surge tank failure which is full of oxygen at 80 or 90% concentration. So it's a rare case of failure, but you ought to be prepared for it just in case. Never tempt Murphy as much as you can.
Okay, with that we conclude this video. Thank you so much. Be safe, and if you have any comments, if you have any questions, you can put them down in the comment box below or reach out to us via the M19 Collective via our website, and a support group of all the M19 Collective engineers will be able to help you.
Thanks.
Thank you.